You good? Good morning, everyone. I am joined here today by Mr. Randy Karraker. Thank you for coming out.
Very good to see you.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about a couple things we have going on here first, and then dive into what you have coming up because it's pretty exciting stuff. I think it's definitely the wave of the future, so I'm excited to hear how that got going and have you tell everybody about it. But first, we are here at St. Charles Convention Center, and today, if you can get this ball into that hole back there, there's a grand prize mouse in the hole. It barely fits in that one, but I can attest, and Angie, the owner at Spas and More, can be my
Witness?
Witness, yeah, that I hit that from the blue line earlier this morning. So it is doable. A young man tried a little while ago, and he almost hit it.
Within an inch.
He was pretty darn close, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I thought for sure we were going to be out of the game before we started. The Coffin Foundation is where all the proceeds are going to that. So it is your chance to win a chili goat to take home today. You get one shot for $5, 5 shots for $20, and that's going to be going on all weekend here at the Spas and More Expo. So, Mr. Karraker, you've got some exciting news coming up with Matrix.
Yeah. So
right? Matrix Midwest.
Yeah, a couple of things. 2 weeks ago, we're 2 weeks in, I started a show on a new all-sports local television station here in St. Louis. It's owned by Gray Media. They own Channel 4. And in August, they launched Matrix Midwest. It's a 24/7 full power TV station here in St. Louis. And obviously, when you have a TV station, a podcast network, you need content.
Yeah.
And so I started a show called The Fight. And we don't have The Fight every day. But I started a show called The Fight a couple of weeks ago. And it's fun. It's available on Channel 32 over the air. If you have a digital antenna, you can get it there. You can get it on Spectrum Channel 6. We'll be on DirecTV pretty soon. You can also get it on the KMOV app. And it's the fastest hour in sports. It's kind of like a local version of PTI. I work with Andrew Rogers, who's a local kid. Not kid, he's 28 years old, but
it's all relative.
Yeah, it is, right.
Yeah. At 41, still 20s as kids to me still.
Right.
Yeah.
Andrew went to Lindenwood. He started off with me at 101 ESPN way back in the day. He went and did television in South Dakota, and then he did radio in Omaha. Really knows his sports and is a really hard worker. So we have a fun show every morning, 7 to 8, but you can always see it on the app, the KMOV app. You just click The Fight and you'll be able to watch it at any time. And then after that, after I finish up, get out of the building at Channel 4 at Matrix Midwest at about 8:30. From 10 to 11:30, I'm back with my old radio gang, Brooke Grimsley and Matthew Rocchio. We are on Sports Hub STL here on YouTube.
Yep.
And we cover a lot of sports. And for example, today, here we are on Saturday, 5 different St. Louis games. The Cardinals, the Billikens, Mizzou basketball, St. Louis City SC, and the Blues all play today. And on Sports Hub, we'll have post-game instant reaction for every one of the games. And that's kind of what we're going to do with Sports Hub STL is we're going to be reactionary to everything that's going on in the world of sport, local sports. It's going to be pretty cool.
But in real time almost, right?
Almost
so we're
in
not
real
having
time.
delays. And if people miss it, the great thing about being on YouTube and podcast versus our old mediums that we're used to in radio and or television is that if you miss it, you can catch it. Right. I can go back and watch it anytime I want to.
That's right. And for example, the Randy Karraker show featuring Brooke Grimsley, not everybody is available to listen from 10 to 11:30 in the morning.
Right.
But you hop in your car after work and you can just click it on YouTube and you can consume it that way. You can just listen to it as you Bluetooth it in your car on the drive home.
Pretty exciting stuff. And I'm very much looking forward to being able to work more in tandem with you all and get some of our punchline guys over there and vice versa. And I love what they're doing over there. And we were chatting a little bit before we started here today. Couldn't be a greater runner of things over there than Dave Green. I mean, he's been in the business for years and years and years and just a real stand-up individual there.
Yeah, so. Dave taught me a lot about the business. I worked for Dave when we were at 1380, which was you might not know about it because you can't get it west of Clayton, based in downtown St. Louis and the towers in Illinois. But Bernie Miklasz and I did an afternoon show at 1380.
Okay, yeah.
Remember having walkie-talkies as a kid?
Yes.
That's about the power that 1380 had.
Yeah.
So,
well, I was with 1380.
Oh, yeah. So you know.
Back in the K-Fans days.
Right, yeah.
St. Louis Sports Magazine, and then I remember we obtained 1380, and then we went through a tumultuous time there where it became the woman and the man.
Right, yeah.
I was some interesting times.
Yeah. So, but Dave brought me over to 1380, and for what we were, in terms of low power, and it wasn't the biggest budget operation. But Bernie and I had a good time doing shows over there, and it was fun. And then it was interesting because Dave had left by the time I got let go there in the summer of '08 when the economy crashed. Nobody was buying advertising, so they let me go. And I emailed the general manager at what was then Bonneville, St. Louis. His name was John Kioski, is still there. And it was a Friday night that I got let go at 1380. And I had heard rumors during the summer that 101, which was a dance station, it was called Movin' 101, was going to switch to all sports. So I emailed John Kioski that Friday night, said, hey, I've heard you guys are going to switch 101. Is this true? Should we talk? And he emailed back almost immediately, said, yeah, we should definitely talk. And literally the next Tuesday, from Friday night to the next Tuesday, I had the job. So I was in the right place at the right time, getting whacked by 13.
Yeah, you weren't out of the market for too long.
No, I wasn't.
Just nice,
and that worked out really well. And a great 16-year run at 101 ESPN, which is a great sports radio station. And I've talked about it with a lot of people. I root for them to do well, but it's just economically, it's a bad time.
Yeah, it's tough for radio right now, and I think that a lot of conversions happening. That there's some good shows over there that are multicasting, if you will, getting into this podcast world. What are you looking forward to the most transitioning into the world of podcasting? Because you've been in the game for a little while.
Well, I'm really fortunate that I have two such disparate shows, because I have 7 to 8, which is 1 hour, and we get everything packed into an hour. But I've also never done television before. I'm the producer of the show. Yeah. So I'm building graphics, I'm building content, and it's great. I love it. It's great. So that's one aspect of it. I love having the fast moving show. But then we get to expand our horizons more with the podcast. We were limited basically to an 11 or 12 minute segment when we did radio.
Sure.
Same thing with television. It's 11 or 12 minutes. Well,
prior to commercial break, you mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, with a podcast now, if we're hot on something, we don't have to take a break at 11 or 12 minutes. If we have 22 minutes of content and we have things that we're interested about talking about, and the people are interested with the YouTube chat, they can get in touch with us too. And so I love the different forums that I have. The quick forum, where we have a segment called Quick Hits, where we've got 5 hits and we've got 90 seconds, and two guys are. It's just like Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser on PTI. We don't have anything like Quick Hits with Sports Hub STL, and so I like doing both of them because I get a chance to display my knowledge a little bit more with the long form. But with the short form, I've always been told to be concise, to make it happen in a hurry. And I think it's when you have to be quick, it's more energetic, more entertaining.
Has it been fun to learn this new skill set of something you've become an expert at over the years?
Yeah, because I'm 62 and I've always come in, sat down, turn the microphone on. Usually somebody else turns the microphone on, and I just talk. Yeah. Well, now, and my foundation as a producer. When I started in the business, radio business, I was a producer. I like getting back to being a producer, but then it's invigorating to learn new things, to learn the background aspects of TV and all the terms that I'm learning, in addition to the actual mechanical things that I'm doing on a keyboard. I'm learning about things that I never knew before, and it's cool at the age of 62 to learn new things. Yeah.
Well, we get to a point in our lives, I think, and again, all relative. I'm 41, but I'm, young people think I'm old people think I'm young. And I'm somewhere in between, depending on what day it is when I wake up.
Like a 5-year-old thinks you're 80.
Right. Yeah. Well, even teenagers still are like, man, 40. Holy cow! Right. I'm surprised you got out of bed this morning. Yeah. But one of my favorite things is I've come to a point too in my life where not only is it refreshing, but it invigorates you to keep going on something that you've been doing for so long. When you get to learn new skill sets and you watch these younger people do things that, in my opinion, blow my mind. I mean, when they're whipping around, we were just talking about, when I was in high school, my buddies and I would make camcorder videos. Right. Or when you were starting out in radio, we were still cutting reels for archival footage, right?
I literally had a razor blade that I would cut tape with, and then I had a little piece of editing tape, and I'd have to edit it. And I would do 2-hour-long shows. It took me forever, obviously, but that's the way I did it. So it is a different world now. Yeah.
I was just talking with another buddy of ours, Andy Moeller, the other day.
Yeah.
And he was talking about all the ways the industry has changed, all the ways that things have come about. And when you think about the most interesting thing that's taken place in your tenure of working in entertainment and sports, what might that be outside of the technology that you've seen, maybe crowd participation or where that comes from?
See, that's the big thing is, and certainly technology. We when I started in 1983, we didn't have computers.
Yeah.
All right. But when I started doing open line shows in 1987, I got on the air. And so for years and years, somebody would call me, and I had a ticker. It was a yellow tape ticker.
Okay.
So, and everything that happened in a game, I would have access to it in the studio. So somebody would literally call me and say, they'd be driving home from the Cardinal game, Tony Gwynn trying to hit 400. Hey, Randy, what's Tony doing tonight? On the phone, on KMOX. And I'd say, well, he's 2 for 4, and he's going to come up to bat next inning. Well, now, and so I provided information. I was the information source.
Right.
Siri, shush. So now, though,
our third host, Siri.
Yeah, there we go. But now everybody has this. Everybody has what Tony Gwynn is doing, right? Everybody's got the information. So what we do, has morphed into an opinion medium rather than an information medium. And I still like to provide as much good information as I can, because there's a lot of bad information out there.
Yeah.
And I consider myself still, I'm a fan with access. So I can go down and talk to people and say, what happened? Why did this happen? Why did you do this? And I've been around such a long time that I have cachet with, I get along great. My very first show at Matrix, Ali Marmol was nice enough to come on, and we have a good relationship. And John Mozeliak, as much as we have butted heads over the years, I have a great relationship with him, Doug Armstrong. So I can go in and talk to these people and find out why certain things happen. So I can provide information, but then I have to add opinion to it too, because that's what everybody wants, is a take. And that's ESPN has fostered that. It's the embrace debate culture. But good columnists, when you read online, they have a good opinion. So the biggest thing, aside from the technology for me, is that I deliver opinion now rather than information.
Well, and you said something really key about I think it might be a generational gap here, being able to butt heads or disagree and still carry on a conversation.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a lost art, especially in today's world. Everything's very divisive. So it's really nice to still have individuals where we can have a difference of opinion, talk it out, and not come to blows about it. So on the fight, is that kind of what we're aiming for that segment?
It is, yeah, because we can have a conversation, and especially in sports, we can walk away, right, and smile. But I think with the advent of
not everybody's an Eagles fan,
right?
Some of us have some tact.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. But because of social media, you can hit and run, and you don't have to have a conversation. And I think it's amazing that this is the case now. But having a conversation is a lost art. People are either texting or they're talking on social media, and they can't see the other people, or you can't hear the tone of the other person. And I'm one that really does like, obviously, to talk. I've done it for a long time. Yeah. But I do find it interesting that everybody has their opinion, and then they kind of have, not everybody, many people have a confirmation bias. Okay, I believe this, so this is it. And you aren't going to change my mind. There's no conversation to try to be open-minded about things. Yeah.
Well, and to your point about being a great conversationalist, one of the gifts you have besides the gift of gab is you're a listener, right? You're a good listener, and I think that's key to conversation. Every time I've interacted with you, when I watch your shows, you give people an open forum and a chance to explain themselves too. I think that's why you're able to have conversation rather than arguments, because you're not trying to talk over each other. You're not doing things. Can people interact with your shows here that you're coming up on Matrix?
Yeah, well, not as much Matrix, but definitely on the YouTube chat, on the podcast. With Matrix, it's early in the morning, and I anticipate that a lot of people are watching, getting ready for work, or you're watching, and then you have to get in your car to head for work. So you get in your car at 7:30, then you just hop on the phone and Bluetooth it the rest of the way for the YouTube, 1 hour. Yeah.
That'll be interactive.
The YouTube on Sports Hub STL is totally interactive, and we want people to talk to us all day long. Yeah, that's a huge part of it. So that's another part of it where it's different, because it was totally interactive when I started with phone calls, and now there are a lot of shows. When we were at 101, we did have a text line, but pretty much everything we did was, and we would have 2 or 3 person shows. And it didn't include the listener as much. Oh, it did some, but not as much. But yeah, the podcast, the Randy Karraker Show, and really everything on the the Sports Hub STL is built upon interaction with the people that are viewing and listening.
Which is great, because I think that people are coming back around to not only desiring that interaction, but I'm a firm believer in full circle media, entertainment, and marketing, in the sense that it used to be about storytelling, conversationalist, grassroots marketing. You know, when we're doing this kind of stuff, when we're at places, we're on location. And now with YouTube, we have the ability to go back in and do live shows and be at places and reach a number of people that you couldn't do with radio and television.
No doubt.
And so it's an exciting time. And I love that you're able to now, with your YouTube channel, include some more of that interaction.
One of the things we did when I was at 101 and people were listening on YouTube and watching on YouTube is we would ask, where are you consuming us from?
Okay.
And it was literally all over the world. It was, people that are deployed overseas in the military, or people that are up early that are Cardinal fans in Los Angeles, or somebody that used to listen to me when they were here as a kid, but now they've moved to North Carolina. And I would think that with this situation, with what we'll have for Sports Hub STL and the accessibility now of Matrix Midwest, that's one of the other things. I used to be a St. Louis, and it was KMOX, so it was big, right?
Yeah,
It was KMOX at night. At that point, with the big tower, it was like 36 states. But yeah, there is accessibility now literally all over the world.
All over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, which makes it incredible. And what about, is there going to be opportunities for people to win things? Are you going to give giveaways on these?
We are going
shows?
to do that. That will be a big part of what we do, and our buddy Dave Green is big on that. We're actually going to have a kickoff party at the new South County Hot Shots on the 27th at 6 o'clock. We're going to have a lot of giveaways there.
Okay.
And we're going
That's
to
February 27th?
February 27th, coming up
February
next
27th.
Thursday at the new Hot Shots on South Lindbergh and Lemay. And the whole group will be out there. The whole Sports Hub STL group will be out there. And there'll be prizes there. But that's one of the ways that you draw people in is you have something that says Sports Hub STL or Punchline or Matrix Midwest. Yeah, that's one of the ways, especially when you have a new entity like these are. It's good to have a lot of swag, and so people say, "Hey, what is that? What is Punchline? What is Matrix Midwest?" That's one of the fortunate things about tonight.
Well, people love winning things too, right?
Right, and you win things, and then you carry it or have it or wear it. Yeah, it's fun to have games like that.
People used to come from, like, because I believe our listenership on 590 when I was there was out to Wood River, Illinois. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
And people would come all the way from Illinois for like a VHS of Bloodsport. I mean, it didn't matter. Like they just were happy to win
Get something free, right? Yeah, and that still works. That still does play. And we're going to do that. And that's, with both entities, we have great promotions people. And that's another key, is because there is so much to consume and there's so much competition, you have to find unique and fun ways to promote. Yeah. And so we're fortunate that we have people that do that for us.
Well, and like you said too, we were talking about again before, there used to be an amazing, I'm gonna plug this now, see if we can get this back going. Maybe Dave can make it happen. But there used to be a golden ticket event. And the golden ticket event, you could win season tickets to the Blues, the Rams, the Cardinals, Mizzou football and basketball, Illini football and basketball, SLU basketball, and am I missing any? Cardinals.
Did you have
Blues,
the Rams there?
Rams, yeah.
The Rams were here at the time.
Man, the Rams. Oh my gosh, that was a great market. I think a lot of people forget what a sports team does for the community.
Yeah,
huge. You know, and I know there was a lot of disparaged feelings and anger about the team leaving, but I wonder how many people actually knew what the effect and the ripple effect was.
Well, the
sponsorships and all kinds of other stuff.
The front office primarily of the St. Louis Rams was St. Louis people. And everything they did off the field was good. And they were trying to, in the last 5 years, 6 years, they were here, they weren't trying to win. They were actually trying to lose.
Yeah.
But during that time, they were also named the Philanthropic Organization of the Year in St. Louis. Of all of the businesses in St. Louis that do such great philanthropic things, they were named the Philanthropic Organization of the Year. I was at a children's home this summer and took a tour last summer. And I saw there was a lot of Ram stuff and pictures and logos and things. I'm thinking to myself, why is the Ram stuff here? But then you go out and there's the blue and yellow playground. And one of the Rams playground builds, and that was one of their days of service for their employees. One of the playground builds was at this children's home, and they're still very thankful to the Rams for building it, and their kids still use it on a regular basis. There are a lot of things. Not that Stan Kroenke did much, as I noted when I went to the Stiefel Theater, but the organization itself, you're right, was huge, and it was a big loss. It was a big loss for St. Louis Area Food Bank. Their biggest event of the year was Taste of the NFL.
Okay,
they did a lot of stuff. The pro sports teams, and by the way, credit to St. Louis City SC and our friends from Enterprise and the Taylor family. They've picked up a lot of what the Rams dropped.
Yeah. I was just at an event the other day with Siteman Cancer Research and the SL City. So not only do they do that, but we've always had a great just philanthropic city based around our sports. We've got a lot of alumni that choose to stay here in St. Louis from all of our sports, even Rams guys that are still here. We've got individuals like Albert Pujols individually gave a ton back to the community, especially for Down syndrome foundations and TASC and different things like that. But
Albert, his foundation is still based at Westport, and they still have several big fundraisers every year here. And he is huge in our community. Kurt Warner still with the Warner's warm-up. They set records every year collecting coats, and he hasn't played here since 2003.
Right.
And Kurt is still doing things. Isaac Bruce, I heard about I won't name a current NFL player, but he's doing a camp here in town and charging $500. And Isaac Bruce is a Hall of Famer who does a free kids camp every year. So there are so many people that do such great things. And as you mentioned, the people that have stayed in town, the Blues alumni are amazing.
I think there's 42 of those guys.
Right. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think it's still the second biggest alumni group in a market in the NHL after Toronto. People that have stayed in a town and been an alumni group. But then Ozzy obviously does what he does. Ricky Horton, Andy Van Slyke, Todd Worrell, Tom Wallace.
Well, and Derek Fisher gets a lot of those guys together. You know, Mike Fisher's son. Derek was a kicker in the NFL, and he does the pro players.
Right.
And they do.
Derek Frost.
Derek Frost. Yeah. Sorry, Frost.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Derek Fisher was a Utah Jazz guard.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of groups, and still does. I did a golf tournament. And Ozzy was out there, and Rabowski was out there, and all these guys are just so giving. So one of the things I think is overlooked about St. Louis as a whole is how philanthropic it is.
Every year, if you go to Charity Navigator, just Google Charity Navigator, pretty much every year St. Louis is in the top 3, 4, or 5 in terms of the most philanthropic cities per capita in America. It's amazing how much money is raised here. I have a friend right now. He's raising money. They're building a new $50 million Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital.
Oh, wow.
Right near where the current Children's Hospital is. And the people are stepping up and providing funds for that. When you look at the money that Joe Buck raises for Children's Hospital, or Dan Deerdorf and Matt Holliday and Costas have raised for Cardinal Glennon, it's phenomenal. And again, a credit to the sports people here that take it upon themselves to help these endeavors out.
Well, and individuals like yourself too, right? You're very active in the philanthropic community, and thank you for that. And I'm sure that's something you probably wouldn't talk about with yourself.
Well, but the reason I do it is because my biggest mentor and booster in the business and in life was Jack Buck, and Jack Buck was doing things 200 nights a year that he didn't have to do, but if he got asked to help out, he would do it. And so I try to take it upon myself. Because the community is so good to me, I want to give back as much as I possibly can.
That's certainly a kind way to think about it, and good servant's heart mentality. Cardinal Glennon, speaking of which, I'm very thankful to Cardinal Glennon. I had open heart surgery at 7 months old. So I was born with 2 holes in my heart.
Are you a Glennon kid?
I'm a Glennon kid, all the way until I was 21. So that was just 20 short years ago.
Yeah, right.
But I was still going to Cardinal Glennon every 6 months. I was born with 2 holes in my heart. They patched it up. I hadn't gained any weight from birth to 7 months. And I went in Cardinal Glennon to take care of it. And funny story, how St. Louis is also a big, small town. One of the nurses in the operating room during that time later was our neighbor, lived directly behind me.
Wow.
So she had helped save my life as a baby, and then she lived behind me growing up. And then today, about more philanthropic, just to give another mention. So today we are doing a giveaway for free chili goat cold plunge. And the proceeds for your opportunity to take that home with you today are going to go to the Kauffman Foundation. And so if you don't know the Kauffman Foundation, you can give them a look at the kaufmanfund.org. That's going to be www.thekaufman, KAUFMANFUND.org. And that is a veteran organization that helps out with dentistry and medical needs for veterans and housing and all kinds of stuff. So great organization. And we're going to be doing that here today. I'll be out here till 2 o'clock. Randy's going to be heading out soon. But before he does, what is one of your, if you could pick one, you don't have to, maybe two, favorite, I'll categorize this, favorite Cardinals sports memory here in St. Louis, Missouri?
I'm not one that has that can retroactively change my emotions about situations. So for me, it's still McGuire hitting number 62.
Okay.
It was unbelievable. And the anticipation all year long from the time the Cardinals got McGuire and then during that entire offseason before the 98 season, we thought he would do it. And then it was just a magical summer. And then having Sammy Sosa go head-to-head with him and the way it happened with Sosa being there and against the Cubs. I've had so many, though. I've been so lucky. Obviously, Ozzy's home run in Game 5 of the NLCS in 1985. And then the Freeze home run. So those are my top three. I think a lot of people that are my age would probably have in some order those three as their top three. But man, it's
and I can even remember the David Freeze one.
Yeah, it was outrageous. And
Mark McGuire. I mean, that was a whole different time in baseball.
Yeah,
I mean, you think about the home run derby back then, and you had Sosa and Giambi and Bonds and McGuire
Griffey
and all these guys, and Griffey was still playing. And man, gosh, it was like slam dunks, but they were home runs. And I don't remember a time before or after that we were just chasing home runs that way.
We had steroids.
Yeah,
and that was a big part of it. But that doesn't spoil it for me. A lot of people I know that say that, well,
you got to progress the sport.
It wasn't real. Well, the thing was, I saw the ball going over the wall, and Ken Caminiti, the late star for the Padres and the Astros, said more than 50% of the guys were taking. So for those that say it wasn't a level playing field, it was.
There was the ability for leveling.
Right. And McGuire and Sosa, for all those guys that were doing steroids, they were the best of those guys. It was, and we were a much more naive society. Even 27 years ago, we were a much more naive society, and we weren't going into a situation like that trying to look for the negative. We were trying to look for the positive and having fun with it. And so McGuire made it great. But that 2011 Cardinal season, coming back the way they did, and then coming back in that game the way they did with the Freeze triple and then the game-winning home run. Nobody expected. Time. Yeah, Ozzy had never hit a left-handed home run until that home run off of Niedenfuer in 1985. So that was pretty incredible. But there's, I'm old enough to remember, and I wasn't at the game, but Lou Brock's 105th stolen base when he broke Lou. Okay. And Brock was my guy as a kid. Really? He was my favorite player as a kid. So that was a lot of fun. And then just that whole summer of 2004, which was probably the best Cardinal team, with the MV3, with Edmonds, Pujols, and Roland all performing the way that they did. That was amazing. We've been lucky. I think that we have a tendency to underestimate how good the Cardinals have been.
It's a great sports town, especially for baseball and hockey.
Right, yeah. I think people are down now because people, when I put it up on social media, I say that it's not Cardinal fans' fault that they're entitled. It's the Cardinals' fault that they won so much that they built these expectations that the Cardinals are going to win every year.
Yeah, if we lived in Cleveland, we wouldn't be worried about it.
Right, we wouldn't feel entitled, right? But now we feel, this is a rite of passage for a lot of young people. My kids, and one of them is 30, but they don't remember the Cardinals being bad, until a few years ago. So it is a sense of entitlement, which isn't a bad thing. I think the Cardinals have built that. And oh, by the way, the Cardinals own Ballpark Village. What's the way they're going to get people into Ballpark Village? You got to win, right? You got to have winning baseball. So they understand the gravity of the situation for them. If they're going to do good business, it's not like a lot of teams. And Cardinal Nation is kind of a mirage. It's the best baseball fans in America. I think we can say best winning baseball fans in America.
Sure.
We show up, but if they're winning 71 or 83 games, you can get free tickets on StubHub.
You can, and I think but there's still some graciousness, seldom do you see people returning to their hometown after being traded on any sport and getting the reception that our fans give too.
The
right?
knowledge and the courtesy here is different. There's no doubt about that. But there was just this belief that Cardinal fans would show up through thick or thin, and now the last couple of years have shown us, they'll show up
the crowd.
They'll show up through thick. And there's Boston; they show up all the time. Boston never has, and granted, it's a much bigger market. But
well, to that effect, Blues. We're talking about now. You switch over. You're talking about the Bruins because they have the same effect up in Boston. You go over to the Blues. We have an entitlement there too. I mean, we had. Is that the longest streak in NHL history of playoffs?
Boston exceeded it. It was 25 in a row, and then Boston got to 27. Yeah, but you're right.
Okay,
and
that was pretty much my whole childhood.
Right, and we never won a cup, right? We
always a bridesmaid.
Yeah, but we had great players, Hall of Fame players, and just could never win a cup. And then, ironically, they have a team that maybe Pietrangelo winds up being in the Hall of Fame. Might have been, but that team that won the Stanley Cup. That might be the only Hall of Famer that team had.
Yeah.
But they wind up winning the Stanley Cup.
Well, our goalie had a hell of a game against us at USA when he was playing in Canada. Where did that come from all of a sudden? He was like a superhero in the last period of the game against Canada and USA.
Yeah. When it's big, he's there. So if you're.
But now we all know how you play. So when you come back down, you got to play the same way.
Well, and the thing is I think there is for some guys. They're why is Reggie Jackson Mr. October, right? Because he stepped up on the biggest stage, and I think Binner is just one of those guys. And Binner might be better served for himself to go to one of those teams that is great every year. I don't know if being in a rebuilding situation is a place where you're going to get the best out of him.
Right. Yeah. Well, and to that effect, what about Blues? We'll do Blues, and then I'll ask you a Rams question, and then we'll wrap up here for a commercial segment. So
I really
have a Blues memory that really stands out.
Well, I was working 91, 92. I was working a whole season. So the whole 86 goals was unbelievable. Okay. Probably my favorite one, though, it's recent. It was the double overtime winner by Maroon against Dallas. That was great. But I was also at the Monday Night Miracle. And for a long time, Corey, that was our biggest event in Blues history. Here in a series that we lost in 1986. The Blues winning a game where they were down 5-2 in the third period and came back and won. I was there, and that was fun. But I think.
What capacity were you there? Were you announcing?
I was working. I was the highest box at the old arena that you could be in. Okay. I was at the very top.
It was at the barn, right?
Yeah, it was at the barn. Yeah. And it was awesome. It was great. And we were all, the media's all thinking, okay, we're going to have to go down because the Blues were down in the series 3-2. We were thinking, okay, we're going to have to go down and do the postmortem here. And then they come back, and it winds up being one of the great comebacks in St. Louis history. So that was a lot of fun. But it's got to be the Stanley Cup run. And even the Stanley Cup parade was incredible.
Well, it's another kind of come from behind story too, right?
Right.
Both of our latest championships on those ends have been not looking good in the beginning of the seasons for sure, and then we turn it around. And
the first thing you hear in the Blues official Stanley Cup championship video is me saying, relative to expectations, this is the worst Blues team I've ever seen. Those are the first words you hear in the video. It makes me look really good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your vocabulary is
well, it was January.
Right.
They were in last place. So that just lent itself to the story. And they were really disappointing because I thought they were going to be great because they had so much talent, and then they wound up being great thanks to Berube and Binnington.
Yeah. Well, and I thought about just as you were saying that, rather than a Rams thing, we have another football team now here in St. Louis, and I have been excited about it. I've been a season ticket holder since we've been here. The energy down there is incredible. Have you been to any Battlehawks games?
Yeah,
what is your take on the Battlehawks?
I've been there a lot, and I like them a lot.
Yeah.
I just don't think that the league is going to survive because we're the crown jewel franchise. Nobody else is even drawing in double figures per game.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think this is a unique situation. Again, a credit to St. Louis sports fans. And it is fun football. And it's not the NFL, but the competitive level is good enough. And I think the rules make it fun. I really enjoy it. I hope that other cities get into it as much as we're into it, and they
might be able to spoil
for a while.
with our fan base.
Yeah,
because it's an electric energy down there.
It's great,
and there's no Green Bay fans or anybody sprinkled in or Buccaneers fans. Yeah. It's all just a sea of blue.
And I think a lot of it. I don't know how long we can keep the intensity of the hatred for Kroenke up. I think when it started, that was a big part of it, right? The first Battlehawks game, we've got a lot of Kroenke sucks, Kroenke sucks, Kroenke sucks.
Right.
And not that we don't have great football fans here, we do. But I think a lot of the intensity and the atmosphere that you're talking about was a result of people
Kind of
wanting to
shoving
show
it back.
the NFL and Kroenke that we are a good football team.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back here, we're going to do a live walkthrough to show you what's going on here today. And thank you so very much to Mr. Karraker.
Yeah, good to see you.
Appreciate it. And make sure you catch on both your shows. YouTube channel is...
So the YouTube channel at 10 o'clock every weekday morning is Sports Hub STL. And then Matrix Midwest, and you can find Matrix Midwest on all your socials. And Andrew Rogers and I are on 7 to 8 in the morning.
All right, excellent. We'll see you back here in a moment.